Hi there. My name is Robert Dana, and I lead the product management team responsible for Appian Mobile. Going to be talking today about how you can empower your workforce with low-code mobile apps. Think back to this morning when you woke up. You opened your eyes and, likely, the first thing you grabbed was your phone. Our mobile devices have become an essential part of the way we live. We watch movies, order groceries, and communicate with family halfway across the world, all using these tiny devices. But they've also transformed the way we work. We check our calendars while sitting on the subway, at least under normal circumstances. We write emails while walking the dog. We look up that last thing before putting the phone away for the night. So naturally, why wouldn't you build your business applications with mobile in mind? Your workers, like all of us, are interwoven with their mobile devices. So when you're creating an application to help them work faster, better, and easier, mobile shouldn't be a blind spot. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at the numbers. 67% of enterprise companies are planning to prioritize mobile for their workforces in the next year. And of those companies that choose to invest in mobile, they see an average return on investment of 35%. But they don't just see monetary returns. Their employees are happier and more productive. An enterprise company which invests in mobile sees an average of 240 work hours gained per employee per year. That's 6 full weeks more work. And those employees have an averaged increased satisfaction and loyalty of 23%. So hopefully that's got your attention. Now let's go into what we'll be talking about today. I'll start by looking at how mobile has transformed work. Then we'll see Appian Mobile in action and how you can harness the power of Appian on mobile devices. And finally, I'll tell you everything you need to know in order to go mobile now. Let's start with how mobile is changing work today. We'll look at 3 different sectors, and I'll start with retail and service industries. Customers expect you to have information readily available and not have to rely on an outdated paper system. You want to create a good impression, and Appian allows you to build beautiful user interfaces that match your unique branding while also being intuitive for your associates to navigate, so they can focus on delivering great service without a lot of technology training. Next are your office workers that you're probably already building web apps for. With Appian, you can build once and run anywhere. That means that any apps you build for web are ready for mobile right away without any extra work. Appian dynamically adjusts your interfaces to adapt to different devices, whether you're on a desktop, tablet, or phone, and for any operating system. Finally, we've got your field workers. These are people that aren't spending their time at a desk or a store or any other company location. Field workers rely on mobile devices to do their jobs, which often have workflows that tie back into complex back office processes, making them a great fit for Appian. And they need to be able to work in limited connectivity areas. Appian's offline capabilities ensure field workers can get work done, no matter where they are. Offline tasks and actions can be completed anywhere, and location capture can provide you more insight about where your employees work. All those scenarios are areas in which real Appian customers are using Appian Mobile today to get ahead of the curve. Here are just a few of them. Next, I'll show why these customers chose Appian. I'll do that by sharing some examples of how 2 different workers use Appian Mobile day to day. We'll start with Jeff. Jeff is an executive vice president at a fast-paced consulting firm. He needs to make high-impact decisions quickly with the right information. He wants that information at the touch of a finger and needs a seamless experience between web and mobile. He also needs an intuitive user interface that takes a minimal time to learn. Luckily, Appian can provide all of this. Let's see how Jeff uses Appian Mobile. Jeff often isn't at his desk, again, at least under normal circumstances. When he's on the go, he still needs to be notified when he's needed. With push notifications, he gets notified of urgent information no matter where he is. Push notifications allow you to contact users in a way that's personal and immediate, increasing the likelihood they see information and take action. Appian allows you to send push notifications for tasks and for news updates. Jeff doesn't want to waste time logging in over and over. In 20.2, with Keychain on iOS, he can use Face ID to log in with a quick look. We're also adding support for mobile single sign-on, so Jeff might not need to sign in at all. Once Jeff logs in, he sees all his essential information right away. With beautiful and dynamic UIs, he has a mobile-friendly experience that still provides dense information. On his app, he can see his active projects, his customers and their contacts, employees and their statuses, and all his tasks to complete. There are key metrics that Jeff is expected to have at hand on any situation. When he's asked for the latest revenue numbers in a meeting, he can simply open up the Appian app and immediately see up-to-date figures. Now, for a change of place, let's talk about Laura. Unlike Jeff, she doesn't normally work in an office. To do her job, she has to be out in the world, inspecting commercial properties to ensure that buyers are getting what they expect. This work takes her to all kinds of interesting places, not all of which have good network connectivity for her tablet, especially the basements. She has a task-centric workflow where she's assigned tasks that both tell her what to do and provide her the information she needs to do it. And because location is a critical part of what she does, Appian Mobile's geolocation capabilities are a key requirement. Let's see how these capabilities all work together. Now, as she'll be the first to tell you, Laura is not a computer person. She's much more comfortable with concrete and roofing materials than she is with information technology. And when she gets her tablet up, she's all about the work. She needs a simple way to get to her tasks as quickly as possible. In the past year, we've improved the mobile user experience, particularly for task-centric users like Laura. No matter where she is in the app, she can always get back to her task list with a swipe and a tap. That's true when she's offline as well. Even if the page she's on doesn't work while disconnected, there's a link to go straight to her offline tasks. Laura works hard to be accurate as she does her work, but she's human like everyone else, and mistakes can happen. Her company's quality assurance team wants to know exactly where Laura was when she completed each inspection, just in case. So they configured Appian Mobile to record her location automatically when she submits the task. Of course, Laura's informed of this, so she's aware and her privacy is protected. Laura often needs to refer to documents for each property she inspects, such as floor plans or blueprints and previous inspection reports. When she receives an offline-enabled task, any linked documents or images are automatically downloaded and stored in her device, so they're available when she needs them. After Laura's completed her inspection, she's ready to submit her completed task. Along with any information she enters with the keyboard, she can also upload images or even provide a signature if it's required. She can do all this while she's online, and it will be stored and automatically uploaded when connectivity is reestablished. Sometimes she needs information that's not in Appian. In 20.1, we enabled iPad multitasking for Appian Mobile, which means that Laura can keep Appian open while consulting another application, and easily copy and paste information back and forth if she needs to. Now that you've heard about how Jeff and Laura use Appian Mobile, let's talk about what you need to do in order to put it into their hands. For many organizations, that begins with security and manageability. It's crucial that any mobile application be able to meet enterprise requirements, and we've done a lot of work on Appian Mobile in the past year to make sure that it does. Let's start with authentication. Authentication is key both to security and the user experience in mobile, and we've made some great improvements in our 20.2 release. We've now enabled mobile single sign-on support with SAML. If your identity provider is configured properly, if a user's logged into any corporate mobile application recently, they'll automatically be logged into Appian Mobile without having to authenticate a second time. We've also enabled certificate-based authentication, which can be used to ensure that users can only connect from trusted devices. In 20.2, That will work for accessing your identity provider. And we're working on support for more complex scenarios for customers that have on-premises Appian installations behind gateways which require certificates for any connection. Finally, we've enabled for support for mobile password managers. Even if you don't have mobile single sign-on configured, and assuming your policies allow it, your users now don't have to type in a complicated password each time they log in. This is what enabled Jeff to log in using Face ID. Now, in addition to authentication, it's critical to ensure that your data is protected when accessed via a mobile device. We've worked to make that true. First of all, unless you're using our offline features, we minimize the data that is stored on the device in the first place. Most data is only resident on the server and is accessed by the mobile app via an encrypted network connection. Second, when offline data is stored locally, we make use of the native hardware-enabled security features present in most modern mobile platforms to ensure that it's encrypted. Finally, we have strong support for mobile device management, enabling your IT organization to configure policies which provide additional security assurance. Let's go into a little more detail about that. This year, we added support for the app config device management standard, which enables our application to be managed by a wide variety of enterprise mobility management platforms, including AirWatch, Mobile Iron, and Microsoft Intune. This enables a wide variety of mobile security capabilities supported by those platforms, including data encryption, remote wipe, preventing application backups, app-specific VPN tunnels, disabling screen capture, and disabling copy and paste. We've also implemented additional policies that you can control specifically for our app, including pushing server configurations that simplifies initial setup for users, prompting those users for passcodes on the launch of our application, even if the device is already unlocked, or even if security is really important, to prompt users for a passcode even when they've been idle. Now, as we've seen the explosion of bring your own device policies, some users are reluctant, to say the least, about granting corporate control over the device. The great news is that both Apple and Google have made this an easier trade-off by implementing mobile operating system features that can partition the work-managed apps from personal data. This means that a remote wipe doesn't erase the whole device, but rather will only delete the sensitive corporate data. These features protect worker privacy while also increasing the security of the corporate data. Okay, so I've talked about how Appian provides mobile security and manageability. What does Appian do to make life easier for low-code developers building for mobile? Now, traditionally, most enterprises don't bother developing mobile apps for their internal workforce because it's expensive and usually has to be developed in a completely different technology stack than the apps that they're building for their desktop users. And it's not just about writing the code. It requires building up an entirely new development pipeline, a separate set of security tests, and a complicated multi-platform deployment process. With Appian, the same application you build for desktop use automatically works for mobile. Or you can build mobile-specific applications, but they're using exactly the same Appian tooling as your other projects. Pushing a new release only requires you to deploy your changes to production in Appian. Mobile users get your updates automatically and immediately. Let's dig into some details about how you do it. To begin with, we've made it easy to see how your applications will look on mobile with our mobile preview, built right into Interface Designer. You can see what your interfaces look like in any of a variety of form factors and orientations. And starting in 20.1, these aren't just previews. Designers can drag and drop components to build interfaces in any of the form factors. We also know that sometimes you want things to work differently on mobile than they do on web. Maybe you want the applications to be mostly the same, but you expect certain things to be done only on one kind of device. We've made it easy to customize your apps with a function that will tell you if the interface is being used on mobile. Making your interfaces look great across a wide variety of screens is important for many developers. In 20.1, we introduced features which easily give you a lot of control over responsive behavior. That's how your interfaces adjust as the screen gets narrower. Using new parameters on the column and side-by-side layout, you can specify when they start to stack on top of each other rather than simply shrinking in width. Now, we've talked about Write Once, Run Anywhere a few times. We've worked hard to make sure that Appian developers can create offline forms using exactly the same skills they use for developing any Appian application. It starts with a simple checkbox which specifies that a form is intended for offline use. While it's true today that developers do need to be aware of some limitations that offline forms have, we're working hard to eliminate these as much as possible. Stay tuned for updates over the next year. Finally, let's talk about how a developer enables geolocation. Just like offline, it's a single click of a checkbox to get started. This adds a new data output, which includes the geolocation data. This data includes not just the location information, but information about the accuracy of the location fix, and if there was a problem getting the location, the reason for it. It's pretty important to be able to tell the difference between a user who's violated policy by disabling location features in their privacy settings from just an issue getting a satellite signal. We've also introduced a built-in function which will tell you the difference between two locations to make it easy to work with location data once you have it. It even accounts for the curvature of the Earth for accuracy as it performs a calculation. Well, that about wraps it up for mobile. I'm hoping I've given you a better understanding of why you should be creating mobile apps for your workforce, the benefits that Appian can provide for doing so, and how it works. The first step is simply to download the Appian mobile application from your favorite app store and give it a try. If you're a current Appian customer and want to get a preview of new releases in advance, please join our mobile application beta program. And in case you're wondering, you can run the beta app alongside our release version. I would also encourage you to watch Charles's session about creating beautiful interfaces. The wisdom he imparts is especially relevant for mobile. Finally, if you have any questions or are considering a mobile project with Appian and want to learn more, please get in touch. Adi and Sherbano are the product managers from the mobile team, and that team's really the brains responsible for most of what you saw today. We're all in the chat. We'd love to hear from you directly via email as well. Appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.